So welcome. I am Kathy Sipple, and you are here for day 3 of social media for environmentalists, or for helping the environment. If you don't want to label yourself as an environmentalist, that's okay too. Want to start off with a success story. Last week we had somebody with us who, I'm not sure if she calls herself an environmentalist or not, but her name is Foy, and she is working on a blog that is about how she's trying to grow the food that she is going to be, feeding her family. She's a stay-at-home mom right now. She used to work at Tall Tree Arboretum, and she made some updates to her LinkedIn profile just last week as a response to the homework that I kind of assigned for people who were putting forth a project and they wanted to attract eyeballs to themselves. I'm so sorry, but we've got all kinds of mess going on today. Okay, my apologies for that. In any case, Foy had updated her LinkedIn, and just yesterday she told me that she had gotten an inquiry based on these updates, and it had attracted a job lead for her. I didn't even get a chance to look at it and read it myself, but basically she said that a local school saw that she had experience with school gardens, and they contacted her to ask her if she would design a school garden program for that school. So she said it's working. That was just a few days after we did what we did. I'm wondering if I can bring that up. I don't recall now if she sent it to me. I think she sent it to me via Facebook. This is always a little dangerous. Getting it. Here we go. Yeah. It was just yesterday. She said, oh, she got a call. It wasn't an email, but I got a call about working with some local farmers to bring their produce to school lunches. There we go. It was mentioned that my new LinkedIn profile was why I was contacted. It's working. So it was literally, just, less than a week before we talked about this, and then all of a sudden, boom, she got a phone call. So I just thought that was a great way to start. This is not theoretical. This stuff really, really, really works, and I just think that's so awesome. So we did talk a little bit yesterday about, using LinkedIn to kind of reach out to people and using that advanced search to find the people that you want to find. Well, the flip side of that, obviously, is that other people are doing the same thing looking for you. So, Foy was able to be found, and so I would like to spend just a few minutes recapping what we talked about last week for those of you who weren't with us, or even maybe those of you who were but didn't feel the urgency or, need a little refresher. The best thing I think you can do for yourself is to use this professional headline right here under your name to really spell out what it is that you do, and use it in an eye-catching way, kind of almost like you would for a Twitter bio. It doesn't have to be quite this long, but instead of just saying, horticulturist, okay, she could have stopped there, and that might well be what's on her, degree or her certification or her job title if she was employed, by Tall Tree. But instead she put using my knowledge to grow, eat, and preserve the harvest. So, that definitely puts her in the camp of somebody that's a horticulturist around, edibles, right? So that's kind of cool. And then she did a nice job on her summary too. It says a trained public garden horticulturist. She's now focusing on local CSA and farmers market. So if I'm a farmer and I'm looking for somebody in my, my own geographic area, kind of like we did for Roseanne's example yesterday, trying to look for people that maybe had cancer in the background and also were interested in natural health, or holistic health solutions. This is the same kind of thing we were trying to do, but from the reverse, right? So if I'm a farmer in North Manchester, where Foy is, I probably would have gone to that same, advanced search. In fact, let's just give it a try and see how that would work. And maybe I would put, farmer CSA. I'm not quite sure, what I might do there. I do not know the zip code for North Manchester, so let's just use that little handy dandy. Let's see, North Manchester, Indiana. Okay, The zip code is 46962. Can pop that right in. You know, I'd probably want somebody fairly close since we're talking about local food, right? And then let's just do a 50-mile radius. And there you go. So she comes up to the top of the pile. Another guy that I know, Andrew, he actually, I think, has worked with Charlotte. Is that right, Charlotte? Or maybe I've got that wrong. No, maybe I'm thinking of Damien. Anyway, I do know Andrew. He's another farmer who's kind of out in your area. So he shows up too. But, you know, here's a pretty short list of people that would come up for me. And again, this is not just my first level network. This also shows second level. So these aren't people that I necessarily am directly attached to. Now, if I didn't have any first level people that looked like a match, again, I'm speaking as I would for the farmer at this point, I could go to the second level. And the second level, again, are represented by the people who have the little second symbol next to them. And then I could click Shared Connection and see, all right, I know Dick Sprague from Sustainable Indiana. I could ask him to, to connect me. And then Ron John, I have to say, I can't even remember how I know him. That's always embarrassing when I can't remember how I know people. But I could click down and look at the, if I've done my homework in advance, like I mentioned to you before, you can click the contact info, you can look at the relationship tab, you can record how you met, and that's a really, really great idea. As your network expands, you definitely are going to help yourself out if you can kind of tell how you met, okay? So that relationship tab is awfully important. And you can actually even use this information for people that you're not directly connected to. You wouldn't have to be in a first level. So we just talked yesterday about the importance of developing the social in social networking. When you're trying to build a tribe, you're trying to build consensus, you're looking for that common ground, you can be very intentional about the way that you kind of lift people out of the internet and give that a try. Okay, you're not just randomly messaging all of your people. So we talked about tags, how to do that in Twitter, on Facebook, and on LinkedIn yesterday. I want to show you what that gets you. All right, so after you bother to do all that tagging, because again, we've kind of got at the heart of what we're looking at today, how do I message as many people as possible if I have, let's say, a bill that needs to be acted on, and I want to activate all the, the farmers that I know, or all the people that care about clean drinking water, or whatever, whatever the thing is, okay? So when you've already done that work, you can actually go to Connections, and I can do a filter all contacts by tag, okay, or by location, or by many, many other things. But let's just say that I had a tag already going that was just called, well, we'll just call it green for now. That's probably the best one. No, I can't believe I have just one person labeled green. Oh, I've also got it by recent conversation. So let's just do, let's do everybody. All right, that's not coming out the way I would expect. Let's just do something else for now. All right, this sometimes happens. It's not exactly working the way it usually does, so there could be a glitch with it. Normally what I would do here is just do my search on, on a tag, on a particular tag. You can do a lookup, and either I'm foggy-headed or I don't have very many people tagged as I thought I did. Let's try green drinks. All right. I got to believe I've got more people on my green drinks tag than 2, but these are accurate, so whatever's going on, I'm not quite sure. But in any case, this is how it's supposed to work, is you tag the people, and then you can do these filtered lookups. By selecting all, you can then message just the people within that lookup. So for instance, if at the time that you have identified that contact, you go ahead and tag them as, like we've got Anne-Marie with us today. Anne-Marie does a line of what I call spiritual cartoons, and I now know she only used that term one time. That's not her her go-to thing. But let's just say here's one that Anne-Marie did, Mighty Mirth. She was in our group last week and shared this ooh, 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 amazing you. So let's say that she was looking for potential distributors, or else she was going to be in the New York area. You could do a lookup just based on okay, instead of tags, since that wasn't real successful, let me do something that's more real. We'll see how this goes. All right, so instead of filtering by tags this time, let's say you've got okay. Oh boy. Let me start over here. Okay, we're going to look at all contacts, and we're going to search by location. That's what I'm looking for. All right, we'll go to location, and let's say I only want people in the, I could do Greater Chicago area, I could do Valparaiso, Indiana area. But let's say that I was traveling, I was going to be in Indianapolis, not awfully far, but if I wanted to just look at who are my contacts in Indianapolis because I want to get them to go to the State House. I'm kind of going back and forth between my examples here, so I'm back to being environmentally minded. Sorry if this is a little confusing. But let's just say that I need people to kind of march at the State House in Indy. I could do the same search by, a geographic, and this seems to be working just fine. This is normally how the tags work as well. And so a lot of these people I kind of know from Sustainable Indiana, but there's some other names as well. I could do a select all, and then I could message these people and say, since I'm not connected to Judy Voss, I'm sure I'm connected to Judy Voss. That's weird. Okay. Whatever. Things are a little wacky today. But in any case, what I could do would be a group message. I could give it a thoughtful subject that kind of applied for all of them. I would uncheck allow recipients to see each other's names and email addresses because they don't need to know that they're part of a group message. Now I could take out somebody that wasn't necessarily green if they happen to be an indie, but I don't think that they're environmental. I could remove them from this lookup, but most of these people actually seem pretty on target. And then I could say, hey, did you know that there's a bill going, through today, or it's going to be heard on? I'm not so political, just a little news flash, but wanted you to know about it. If there's any way you could go and make your voice heard, that would be great. Wish I could be there. Send message. Okay, so this is one way you can get a good lookup to people that are in your network. We talked about some other ways just yesterday. Hootsuite was one. And do we need a refresher on Hootsuite, or do you guys feel like you've kind of got that? Hootsuite again was the way that you can schedule your messages, or you can message to multiple people, including in different Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, that kind of thing. All right, if I don't hear from you, I'm going to kind of launch into the new thing that I wanted to talk about. And, we're talking about doing a lot of things just out of the goodness of our heart, maybe things that aren't directly related to our, to our jobs necessarily. If you are looking for a job, LinkedIn is certainly a good way to attract employers to you, in a new way. That's great. But let's just say you've got a new idea and you're looking for funding. Okay, so I want to just talk about a few different options that exist today where you can do things for funding. And we can give you an example of somebody that I worked with. Some of you might have heard this example before, because I think it's a really cool one. I had a guy, Randy Jamrock, who's from Highland, come to me just about a year ago. Let's see, here we go. And he said, I've written a book called Permaculture Solutions to Climate Change, and I've kind of come to know you through various green things, and I would like for you to do a website for me so that I can sell my book. And my first thought was, wow, I'm really flattered. That's great to be known within the green community, and have won the trust of this guy who is a musician, and I think he works with like labor organization, is his day job. He's not, you know, an author or a marketer. So I was really excited that he came to me. But at the same time, I'm thinking, I am capable of doing a website. I mean, I did this website, 219 Green Connect. I do, you know, pretty much all my own websites. I could do it for him. I'm just not sure how I see that him having a website is automatically going to help him, you know, sell this book. And then when he further told me that it's a book that he wrote about his, you know, experience in Cuba and talking about permaculture, learning about permaculture, and he wants to distribute it freely to people who are willing to, you know, work with groups to learn about permaculture, I'm thinking, whoa, all right, how is this going to make any money? This is sounding a little scary, frankly, because just building a website does not by any means guarantee traffic. So this is where, you know, I kind of put a few different ideas together that I had in my toolbox, and we came up with something called crowdfunding. And what we did is, instead of building him a website, I said, why don't we make a project page on my website, since your project is both green and you're located in the 219, you know, area code, you're my target market. You know, I kind of go into 574 South Bend area as well, you know, a little bit into Southwest Michigan, a little bit into Chicago. It's not completely 219, but in any case, I do try to make it kind of, you know, local. But basically I said, this is going to cost you a lot less than doing your own website. This is really only something that you need to do for a brief time, and then you're going to do one round of, you know, printed books, and you're not going to really do it again. So that seems like an awful lot of resources to spend to create, you know, a website to basically give away a book. You know, that just doesn't sound like a good way that's going to work for you, because he's not just, you know, rolling money or anything like that. So when we talked it through, what we did was, he said, okay, I'd like to give away a free copy to anybody who wants it, because his first idea was, let's just get this information into people's hands. But, you know, an ebook, anybody can do that. You don't really need to have that printed at all. And basically, what we did here was set up a form, and again, I did this for him. I just charged him kind of a lump sum for all these administrative tasks that are relatively easy for me to do, but maybe not so easy if you've not done them before. Hopefully a little easier for you, because you're actually, you know, kind of seeing me do this. But this form, by the way, is fueled by Mailchimp. And let me just get in here real quick. Hopefully I'm remembering passwords. I usually like to try to do this ahead of time. But basically what we did was we set up a list within the list for him on Mailchimp. Again, Mailchimp is something I mentioned, I believe, earlier this week. Probably was fairly brief. But giving your tribe a place to know about you and understand about you, and be able to message them outside of just Gmail or Yahoo or Comcast or whatever it is you use for email. This allows people to actually opt in. Okay, so that's kind of a cool thing. So this permaculture book download, I actually set this up on the 219 Green Connect Mailchimp, which also serves as the list for green drinks, or has been for the last 4 years. Kobe probably has seen this, or at least has worked with it. Jory is working with Kobe to do the emails for green drinks. But in any case, what we've got here is that list. It's set up, and so what that means is, if somebody comes to the website, they go to, you know, they click on the give me the free download, they put in all their information here, and I've got what is set up. It's called an autoresponder. I'm sure you've all been at the receiving end of these things, but if you're not a marketer, you might just not really know, well, what happens? What are they doing behind the scenes? How does that work? There's not somebody sitting at their Google account hitting reply every time and attaching a file and sending it. You're actually able to just you know, make sure that these people get an automated thing that happens. So let me just go into, there we go, general form. And by the way, Mailchimp does offer, some training. They have some good videos, so don't feel like you've got to have every single ounce of this, ingrained in your head. And Mailchimp, frankly, is just one of the many options that are out there. It's free for up to 2,000 subscribers, and it's free up to, I believe, it's either 12,000 or 20,000 emails a month. So that's kind of why I like to use it for these kinds of things. But you definitely can use Constant Contact, Aweber, Vertical Response. There are a bunch of different ones out there. But right now we're just going to talk about Mailchimp. So basically there's a sign-up form, which is what you saw on the 219 Green Connect link when you clicked that, and then final welcome email. Okay, what I did was set up a sister email for that, and it says, thank you for requesting a free download of Permaculture Solutions to Climate Change. Download your copy by clicking here. Well, if I click on that copy, what I have done is I've just already uploaded a PDF that I have hyperlinked. Now I'm putting together a lot of concepts that we've already covered. We covered how to hyperlink a little bit earlier in the week. I believe that was Monday. So again, that just looks like a little chain link, kind of an icon. And basically, I've got the PDF of his ebook right there. Okay. And the way that I did that, that might be a little bit deep into the weeds for today, but I can show you that as well. And then support this project. The support this project is another link. Let's see where that goes. I can just paste that. We've talked about this concept too. It's called a URL, a Universal Resource Locator. It just means website name. And basically what we did was I encouraged him to set up a crowdfunding campaign on a site. There are other sites besides We the Trees, but We the Trees kind of caters to people that are doing green projects. So that's why I thought I'd include this one with our example. It can be for something that you're doing to raise money. If you want to say, hey, I'm trying to add a new hoop house to my farm, and I want to crowdfund it. The crowdfunding aspect comes in by saying, you basically tell the story of what it is that you're trying to do. Okay, so you kind of, he wrote out what he was trying to do. It's also highly recommended that you put together a video, because people are really going to connect with you, listening to your passion, listening to your story. And it's great if it's not overly produced. I mean, Randy's like outside his house that's not a huge house. It's in Highland, Indiana. It's a regular city lot. And he is like, growing hops up the side of his house. He's got all kinds of permaculture stuff going on all over the place. And I think it's kind of great that he's just out there in a scarf and earmuffs or whatever he's wearing, in the snow, holding up his one sample book. So it's like, he's committed. He's outside. He's not sitting in some comfy place. Anyway, so you can do whatever you want with your story, but very short, under 2 minutes recommended. If you can get it under 1.5, that's fine. This is something that you can just do on your smartphone. I don't know if he was doing a selfie. That would be a pretty tough selfie, I would think, for 2 minutes. But, you could get a friend to do that for you. You don't want to be hiring a videographer, frankly, because it's going to look like you have too much money. And, if you've got all that much money, then why on earth do you need for them to give you money? All right, so you want to look passionate, focused, put together, compelling story, but not overly produced. So his video, I think, is probably one of the most important aspects. And then he's got a picture of, his time in Cuba, talking about what he wants to do with his book, who he wants to give it to, and then, get a booklet for yourself or 25 for your own neighborhood. Here's what he wants to do with it. 1, 2, 3, he's pretty organized. Here he is in the summer, with his plants growing, behind him. And then here's where it turned out to be like a co-creation project. I said, Randy, I only really want to accept more money than this first initial downstroke if you hit your goal too. Because if I charged you to build a website, I'd probably have to charge you, minimum of a couple $100, more like $500 to do everything you want it to do, adding pay buttons, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, you're going to be already at $500 to me, and then nobody's going to know that you even have a website. You know, you still have to attract people to your website, all that jazz. So what we said is if, you know, he's going to list me, here we go, the contributions will go towards production, editing, printing, postage, and a percentage from each contribution will go to 219 Green Connect, a platform of building green networks in Northwest Indiana. So basically we said, let's be transparent about it, that when you win, I get paid back a little bit too. So it's kind of like gambling, frankly. We're both gambling a little bit that this effort is going to pay off. So he bumped up the amount that he needed beyond just the printing, postage, and all that jazz so that he could also include my fee in there. And he hit this number, here we go, successfully funded February 14th, Valentine's Day, so almost just a year ago. He got there in 3 weeks. I think he had the campaign running. He gave himself 4 weeks to hit his number, which was $2,500, and he went over it. He got there, you know, ahead of schedule. So I'm curious, like, how many of you have actually contributed to crowdfunding campaigns, if this is kind of a new thing for you, or if you understand it. If you've been a part of it, then you might just need to be guided to the platform and then think about how this could work for your own, you know, your own objectives. But it's the other important component of crowdfunding is to give people gifts, you know, for different levels. So this is, I think, a really smart one for almost anybody on this call. You've probably got something that you could do in the form of an ebook, or in the form of some kind of information product that's downloadable, you know, again, that you could set up as an autoresponder through something like Mailchimp. So for $5 or more, you're going to get acknowledged in the ebook. Okay, so that's kind of neat. If you download this permaculture ebook, it looks different today than it did when he started that download process, because what he did was honored this, and everybody who gave, you know, whether it was the $5 amount or anybody that gave it a higher amount as well, was recognized as a contributor. But at the $10 level, you actually got one of the booklets mailed to you, a hard copy. 10 printed booklets at the $25 level. I think Charlotte contributed, I contributed, probably some other people on this call might have contributed. $50 or more, you get 25 books, so that's good, you know, again, if you've got a group or what have you. And then he's just kind of got it scaled more and more and more. So nobody did the 500, you know, quite a number. Let's see, no, 0 at 200. So all of the contributions are like $100 or less, okay, and he got to his goal. So it's really important to have a compelling goal that you kind of understand, and to break it down into manageable chunks that you feel like are going to be accessible for your audience. I have not done a crowdfunding campaign exactly like this yet, although I've played with it. What I did, and I don't know if you guys realized it, but you were kind of part of what I'm going to call a reverse crowdfunding campaign. You know, I mean, Randy wrote that book and was willing to do it as a download for free. So if he didn't meet his objectives, it basically says here at the end, if this campaign does not reach 100% of its goal, then it will not be funded. Okay, there are some projects that either the platform decides that's the way it's going to go, or else the project person decides how it's going to go. And for instance, if you're going to be printing books, there probably is just, you know, a minimum that you need for the publisher to make it cost effective. If he only got $500, he probably couldn't, you know, he couldn't just print, you know, however many fewer instead, because you've got setups, you've got, you know, to burn plates or whatever you've got to do, set up the binder, da-da-da-da-da. So he kind of, you know, set it up this way and said if it doesn't get funded completely, you know, we're not going to do it. So I kind of did, again, a reverse crowdfund. I said what I'm willing to do is get up early every day for a week, or this is actually my 4th week, and hey, let's, let's this week use social media to help the environment. And so I made it free. There was a free ticket that was like, hey, if you just want to come, and I'm not going to show the finances, that's a little tacky, but if you just want to come, then that's awesome. That's great. I'm happy to have you. Soak up the information. Some of you have already contributed in prior weeks. Some of you, we just exchange energy regularly, so that's totally cool. But I used Eventbrite as kind of an idea similar to crowdfunding. So I had different, motivational packages. Either A, you could get the ebook of the chapter that I just wrote on composting, one of my favorite topics. And then what I'm going to do, same thing that I did for Randy, is anybody who contributed at this level or more, I'm going to acknowledge their name in my ebook. So that ebook is going to look different than it did before. And then I'll have my hard copy books very soon. And so anybody who contributed at that level is going to get a signed hard copy of Women Living Consciously that was an Amazon bestseller just 2 weeks ago tomorrow. In 3 different categories on Amazon. So, whatever you've got at your disposal, if you're a farmer, you could say, well, Charlotte didn't exactly do crowdfunding, but you did an early bird special for people who signed up for your farm camps. You have a lot of eggs, so you said anybody that registers by such and such time, you're going to get half a dozen or a dozen farm fresh eggs. It could be you're going to have you're going to get listed on my website. It can be anything. You don't need to make it an ebook if you're not a writer. You need to kind of, let me see if I can think. For Tacey, you've got all this knowledge about wildflowers. I imagine you've probably got all kinds of pictures. It could even just be, a download or a screensaver of a beautiful picture of a wildflower, that you've got. You could do, there are different ways that you can take your pictures and make them into either postcards or magnets or something like that. Something that's meaningful to the audience that you're trying to reach, okay? Or you could just make it fun and say, you're going to have my, my abiding love and our appreciation or whatever. But usually you want to step it up and give people ways to participate at a big level. So in any case, what I said on this event was that, if I hit $250, somewhere I've got that in here. Here we go, last bullet point. I made it kind of small. The whole point wasn't to crowdfund, but it was, just to say, hey, I'm doing this. It really is free, but it does take me time to process video and edit the video. So I'm only going to do that if I get commitment at, $250 for this project. That's kind of like $50 a day that covers preparation for the course, just kind of having this knowledge and then making the video. But seriously, making the video is like the biggest, hardest thing for me. So, I got some smaller gifts, and then we had one group member step in, Nancy, who's part of Northwest Indiana Green Drinks, and she said, Kathy, we have money in the Green Drinks kitty. Why don't we put this forth toward this project, and let's have, Green Drinks. Michigan City is where Nancy is involved. She was kind of the underwriter for this project. So I just yesterday sent out an email from Kathy Sipple, my social media coach, not Green Drinks, and thanked all the people that had given support and financial support, and also encouraged them to go like their Facebook and show some social media love. So hopefully all of you got that email. If not, that's kind of the inner workings of what was going on there. So I guess I'm trying to get you outside the model of I've got to develop a project, do market pricing, find out what people are willing to pay, or, take all the risk myself first and then get out there. Anybody can do this. You don't have to have, a business set up. You don't have to have a 501c3 set up. You just have to be somebody with an idea that you want to get out there, okay? So let me just take a look at comments real quick and see what we've got. Charlotte asked, can you have subscribers download a Word file from Mailchimp, such as a camp registration form? Maybe I would suggest you make that into a PDF instead, just because not everybody has Word, and PDF, what does that stand for? Portable document format or something like that. And let me show you. If you don't have like Adobe that makes PDF, there's something called Cutepdf that I think is super easy to use. This is a little tip for you. Cutepdf.com. You can, I think this is totally safe. I've been using it for probably 10 years. If you go to cutepdf.com, I'll put that in the chat window. so that I remember I talked about it. There are others out there, but this is one that I like and it works. You can just do free download. You download this to your computer, and what happens is when you're in Word, if you go to your print screen or print menu, Cutepdf will actually come up as an option, just like a printer would, and you can just print to a PDF. And so then you would take that PDF and upload that to Mailchimp instead. So that would be my recommendation. It just tends to preserve the integrity of the layout and the design that you've got, whereas Word can be a little bit of a crapshoot. You just don't quite know what you're going to get, and people, may not have Word, so may have trouble opening it. Okay, and then Lisa says, I love the model you use for this project with Randall, thinking it's an option for me to help people with their message dispersal, sharing their stories, and only asking for more payment when a goal is reached. Maybe you can make a booklet for this. Hey, very cool. And by this, do you mean a booklet for like this series? I'd like to know more about what you're thinking there. That would be kind of cool. And then Nancy Moldenauer mentions, a how-to for this idea. Great, very cool, good. Okay, and then Nancy Moldenauer says, Fiddlehead restaurant in Michigan City is looking for funds to open their restaurant, which will feature local fresh foods, will provide culinary training and management experience for veterans. That's great. And I think my friend Mary Kaselke is one of the owners behind that, or one of the partners behind it. And then is it also Mo from formerly Eat It Mo's, and then Sahara? I think I heard those were the two people working on it. That sounds like that's going to be a great project. I love that idea. Very cool. And then Charlotte asks, is a PDF something that they can fill out? That one's a little bit beyond my everyday expertise. I don't think so either. I think I can't give you, let me say, an unequivocal yes, you can you can fill it out. I think you have to have like a full version of Adobe Reader or Adobe something or other to do that. I don't think that most people are going to be set up and ready to do that. If what you're talking about is really a form, okay. Well, wait, let me go back to Roseanne. Still got a question about Fiddlehead. She said, what was that just now about a new restaurant opening and looking for funds? Okay. All right, so I've got two competing conversations threads. Let me just finish up on Fiddlehead first. Nancy, I know I saw it somewhere on Facebook, but do they have a Facebook page yet, or where could I best find that information? Fiddlehead, here, no, that's not it. Okay. I bet if I just do a search, I might be able to find that. Fiddlehead, Michigan City. Yeah, but you heard it right, Roseanne, that you can look in the chat window and see, here we go, or you can go to Facebook. It's facebook.com/FiddleheadMC for Michigan City. And basically, they've got a lot of likes already. And I don't see their crowdfunding. Is that somewhere on here? So oh, here we go, Kickstarter. So Kickstarter is another very popular platform for doing this. And so it's like, what would you pay to have an amazing luncheon for 10 catered at your home? Well, when you make a donation of $150, you'll receive a 10-person lunch catering package delivered to your home or office, 2 lovely Fiddlehead t-shirts, 1 Fiddlehead embroidered military duffel bag, along with a permanent place on our dedication wall. And so let's take a look at their campaign. And I know, Roseanne, you have previous experience in the food service industry, so that's maybe you've got ideas along that area. Who knows? But they've got a goal of 10,000, and they're at nearly 8,000. So that's really very cool with 10 days to go. So that building looks super familiar to me. This is actually, I know right where that is. I think I know. Is that the old Entrepreneur Center, Nancy Moldenauer? I know you're up in Michigan City. That was actually where I did my very first speaking gig as my social media coach. I stopped in there and just said, hey, I've got tools. This was exactly 6 years ago, actually. And I just stopped in and said, hey, I kind of like the name on your door, you know, Michigan City Entrepreneur Center. I kind of want to work with entrepreneurs. This is what I do. And Heather, who was the director at the time, had me sit right down. We just whipped up a Twitter account for them, and we became fast friends. And you know, she hired me to do dozens of talks over the following years. So yeah, there's Mary and Aaron. Okay, I couldn't remember Aaron's name, but they've got, again, the video. Mary was a fellow master composter and recycler with me, so she's pretty awesome. She also started a Blackbird Cafe in Valparaiso. So, and then they've got another video. So really, really neat. They've got a couple of different levels that you can pledge at. It's usually a good idea to have something that's totally entry level. So, you know, $5 or more, we're going to show some loving on our Facebook page. Okay. And you can see so far nobody's even taken up the very, you know, lowest, the $10. Our sincerest thanks on our Facebook page and one free dessert, and we can really cook. You know, so obviously if it's tied to what you do well and it's something that you can pull off pretty easily, then, you know, that's a great idea. You do want to make sure it's scalable. You know, if you got 1,000 people to accept at a certain level, are you going to be able to, you know, to pull that off? But it looks like everybody's donating in at least, you know, $25 or more, which is really cool. Let's just take a peek and see what the biggest one was. You know, it looks like they've got one backer already at $2,500 or more, one at $1,000 or more. So, you know, how welcome are you going to feel in that neighborhood if you feel like your restaurant was crowdfunded, you know, to get your start? You know, now obviously that's not enough to just open a restaurant. There's a lot of additional costs, but I'm sure that they have said, you know, what they're going to do with these initial funds, if that's going to secure their lease or if that's going to allow them to, you know, whatever. But I love that it's going to be a training hub for veterans. That's a really cool angle. So, you know, if I was them, I would be totally diving into different networks on social media that had to do with veterans as well as, you know, foodies. So you'd kind of look at all of your different possible friends. Okay. And then Lisa asked, does Mailchimp allow forms to be made to fill out online? You know, Mailchimp does not directly, but that's exactly where my mind was going. You could host a form elsewhere and then just hyperlink your form here, right? So, you know, when you're linking, you've got the ability to say whether it's a web address, an email address, a file. So a file would be like a PDF file, but a form would be super easy to do. I know I'm kind of putting in a lot of stuff today with you guys. We're jumping around, but I hope you can handle it because I think there's just a lot of stuff worth knowing. And knowing that you're going to get the video, I don't feel that bad because you can listen again. Okay, so yeah, this is where I was going with that idea, Lisa, is that Charlotte could perhaps create a form and use Mailchimp to, I mean, you would kind of say send it out, but really what you're doing is just inviting people to respond, and in the way I'm going to show you, the form would actually be hosted elsewhere. So there's something called Google Forms. If you're a Google user, maybe you've seen this before. I think they're fairly easy to use. I can kind of quickly show you how to do this. Okay, we've got, yeah, still a good 15 minutes, so I think we're going to have plenty of time to do that. Why don't I show you a past form that I have done? Let's see. Yeah. Nah, you know what? We'll start from scratch. Okay, let's just call this Prairie Winds Farm Camp. Okay. All right, and then we're going to show progress bar at the top and bottom of the page because people want to know, is this going to take very much longer? Only allow one response per person. It's probably a good idea, just so you know, you don't have multiple parents registering the same kid or something like that. And then shuffle question order. If you want to keep things neutral, there's not a logical order to the flow of your questionnaire, that might be a good idea. I think on like a farm camp registration, you wouldn't need to shuffle. That would probably be more confusing than anything else. Okay, so this is one little thing that sometimes people don't necessarily put. You actually have to ask for the person's name. Okay, and then if you feel that you need to give some help text to prompt the right answer, you can do that. But obviously, it's not a checkbox. It's not a multiple choice. You can't predictively know what their name is, so you can just make that a text box, and then they've just got a spot to do their answer. Let's make that a required question. We can say done, and then add an item. Very important. Just because they're answering you online does not mean that their email address is collected, so you really have to be careful to ask for email address. Okay, and again, this is not a multiple choice. We're just going to let them type in what the answer is. We're going to make that required, done, and then you could say something like preferred week for camp, something like that. Now, I'm probably not going to be able to do this whole thing here on the fly, but this you could do, either check from a list or check boxes. Multiple choice, if it was, do you want chicken or fish, at your Fiddlehead lunch. But for Charlotte, if you've got all kinds of different weeks, or choose from a list would probably be good. You'd have to obviously create that list. You could say, or you know what you could do? You could do age of child. You are registering. Okay, and then you could have two options, like under 8, and then you could have one that's 9 to 16, or whatever your ages are. I don't exactly remember. And then you could make the next thing a go-to page based on their answer. Okay, and so if it's under 8, then take them to a subset of choices that only show kid camps that are under 8 years of age. Okay, you could do something like that. And if they answer, between 9 and 16, then take them to that page. Okay, so that would be one way to do it. And then when you're done, what you can do is you can say, hey, view the live form, and this generates, again, what's called a URL, and you can just simply put this URL into the link on your, instead of it saying support this project, you could be like, sign up now, something like that. Okay, and then payment, I'd have to think about payment. I think last year we did Eventbrite for you, Charlotte, so if that worked well, that's another way that you could do it if you just wanted to kind of gauge pre-registration. Probably getting a little deep into the weeds about Charlotte's particular project, so I'm gonna probably pull back from that. But Charlotte, I want to say thank you. She was one of the very first members of the group coaching option that I have put out there, and what that is, it's the very first steps of my project I'm calling Co-Thrive, and I'm going to be building that out, kind of like Fiddlehead is building their restaurant, probably one piece at a time. Co-Thrive is my big new vision that I really want to spend as much time on as I possibly can, and it's going to have multiple layers of benefits. But the thing that I've got right, oh, that's not quite right, cothrive.com. I own both. Cothrive.com, if you haven't heard me talk about this already, oh dear, where on earth? It was just on Cothrive yesterday. Weird. Okay, something's not quite right. All right, we're not gonna panic. But Cothrive is a thing I'm working on, and this is a little disconcerting why it's not showing. That is weird. Okay. I did buy cothrive.com and cothrive.org. All right, I'm not going to panic. Don't want to make this about me. But in any case, one of the things I'm trying to do is kind of introduce the idea around permaculture guilds, which is, there's one in Native American tradition called the Three Sisters, and it's, plants planted in the same spot actually do better than, monoculture, or people. I'm calling them people. I see people kind of as I see plants. Like in my social garden, I want to create a place called Co-Thrive, and I almost see it as being an intentional online learning community geared around people interested in the environment, natural health, local food, artists, musicians, kind of creative people, I would say, that are maybe non-traditional marketers. That's kind of my big dream. And I'll see if I can get that fixed up and show you that by tomorrow. But in any case, Charlotte was one of the very first people to opt in to what I was calling office hours. And that's really a key benefit that I'm going to be offering at CoThrive University. But I'm just kind of calling it one thing as I unleash stage one. And, she's already going to become a member of CoThrive if she so chooses. So anyhow, that's that. Let's look at the other questions. Charlotte's laughing at me. That's okay. Sometimes the trainer gets stumped as well. And then Lisa says that she has also created a basic form in WordPress for a website, and that's completely true as well. I'm curious, Lisa, did you use a WordPress plugin for that, or what did you use for creating your basic form? There are a number of different ways that you can get forms done online. Again, Google Form is totally free, so I always like free, especially for people that don't yet have a revenue model. That tends to be a key consideration. And then, what you get, I'm not going to keep this form since this is not something I'm going to be doing. I could go back, edit the questions. I could change up the theme if I wanted to and make it more, farm looking or kid looking or kind of fun or just neutral. They don't have a ton of things, but they do have one called Farm Life. So that's, that seems like that would be a pretty cool thing for Charlotte. Okay. And then what you can do is you can do view responses. So as people respond on the form, you can just go here anytime and look at it. Okay, and you can make this either visible to all who have registered, or most likely you're going to want to kind of just keep this to yourself. You can just make this viewable for you. So Charlotte, going back to my idea was that because you have enrolled in office hours, you are welcome to drop by, anytime, and we can talk about anytime within the hours that I emailed out to you that I'll be available each week. And I'm going to make a minimum of 3 hours available to members. And for $30 a month, you get, access to me, for my coaching that I would normally be charging, $100 or $125 for for-profit businesses. Okay, so it's 12 hours a month that I'm offering for $30. The caveat is you might not be the only one there. So, if various members of the group all show up, we need to kind of go round robin and work with everybody. It could be one-on-one coaching though right now because there are very few people in it, and I don't think everybody's going to be showing up at the same time. And as the group expands, I'll be happy to add more hours if that's not enough. But we can work out the details of that in the group coaching. I hope you'll take advantage of that. Okay, very cool. And okay, Charlotte says save it and she'll finish it during the group consulting. Okay, wonderful. It's not going anywhere. I'm not gonna get rid of it, and I will. I'll make you a collaborator. How about that? And then you can work on it on your own if you'd like before we get together. That would be something we could do. Let's see if I can find you here. Prairie. Shoot. Okay. P-Wins, that's you. There we go, your Gmail. Okay, Charlotte, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to send that to you. You can take a look at it, and we can go from there. So very cool. Let's see how we're doing on time. We've covered a lot today, but there are elements of these things that I think just need to be put together with intention behind it. And let's face it, we can't really all just afford to be professional volunteers, so at some time we need to think about either how to fund ourselves or how to fund our project. And I just think crowdfunding is such a neat way that you can look at how to get work done that is just a project that you have in your mind and you want to test it. Okay, and if you go the route where it's like, hey, if I don't get to this critical level, then abandon ship, I'm not going to do it. It doesn't mean that you failed though, right? Because whoever signed up at the $5 level, at the $10 level, the $25 level, at least you now know that they were interested once and they probably would be interested again. So you could reach out to them via social media. You could maybe ask one or more of them to be involved on some kind of advisory board with you. You know, you've still begun to form your tribe regardless of whether you hit your financial objectives or not. Certainly it's a lot, you know, nicer when you actually hit your financial objectives. So see if there's a way that you could roll out your project in phases, you know. So I'm kind of wondering if anybody, based on this little talk today, is coming up with an idea that they might want to, you know, explore as a crowdfunding option. If so, I think it would be kind of fun to maybe use part of tomorrow or Friday to look at a practical, you know, like a hands-on, how would this look, and kind of building it out strategically for a brand new idea out of somebody's head. Okay, so let's see. Did I miss anything else? I think I've done a pretty good job on the questions. So we went pretty quickly. Are there any questions, again, about what we talked about today? We discussed crowdfunding. We discussed, you know, integration with Mailchimp. We discussed Google Forms. And honestly, I just kind of had the idea crowdfunding, you know, behind it today, and I didn't even write down exactly what I was going to do in what order. But you can kind of see how one thing is really dependent on another that we've already talked about. If you didn't know what you know, Mailchimp was, and I just blasted you with that today, then you had some catching up to do, obviously. If you didn't know what you know, a URL was, and this is the first time you're hearing it, it's a lot, but I did mention it Monday and then again Tuesday. You know, we mentioned hyperlinks, again, both Monday and Tuesday. All of these things kind of work together, right? So it's kind of cool when you can start to get that strategy and put these things together. And frankly, that's the reason why I wanted to do Co-Thrive, is that I know when people hire me for just, you know, one project, and this is the only time that you're ever going to be talking to a marketing consultant about a form or about a petition or about how do I upload my video or how do you do this again, when you're only doing it once in your whole life, or you're doing it very infrequently, it can be intimidating. And frankly, I just want more projects to get done, and I want to help more non-traditional marketers. So that's kind of the impetus behind why I've retooled my own business, is I want to make it more, let's keep talking about one another's projects and see where there's overlap, see how we can get support. Because I do feel that, you know, if we're a community of projects that could, you know, be funded on We the Trees, then we're going to be able to use one another's projects to model each after and share best practices and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of, that's where my head's going. I want to see everybody with their ideas that are in this group, you know, succeed and get the support that they need, both from a technical standpoint and also, you know, just the moral support, really. So Roseanne said that she hadn't really considered working with a new locally grown food restaurant, but with her 35 years of experience might be able to help at a place like Fiddlehead. Well, I would be absolutely delighted to connect you to Mary. I don't think I'm connected to Erin, but she's a really, really neat lady, and I think you'd enjoy meeting her regardless of what the outcome might be. So, well, I want to thank you again. We're almost at the end of our time. We've got about a minute. If there's anybody with a remaining question, I'll be happy to stick around and answer for you. But otherwise, we'll be back at it again bright and early tomorrow morning. Hopefully I'm getting your wheels turning. You know, I know things need to be funded, and with crowdfunding, this is a pretty cool and innovative way that allows you to take it from your brain and into, you know, real life. So let's go get funded. Let's go get our ideas down on paper. And Charlotte's asking, can we listen to today's? Yes, eventually. I got to tell you, GoToWebinar records all their video in a certain codec. I don't even know exactly what a codec is, but it encodes the video and makes it basically impossible to directly upload it to any other video platform like Vimeo or to YouTube. So you have to do all this conversion stuff and then upload thing. It's just kind of a headache. So I'm working on it. You will get it. I just can't say that you're going to get it like by today or tomorrow. But I guarantee you all of it will be done because of the great support from Michigan City Green Drinks and Nancy Moldenauer's willingness to help underwrite it. So thank you for that, Nancy. All right, that's it for now until tomorrow. If you've got something particular that you want to discuss tomorrow, you can let me know. via Facebook, via the event page, or hit me up however you'd like, or just save it for first thing tomorrow. And otherwise, I'm going to go on with my intended curriculum. Okay, sounds cool. Yes, Charlotte, you did, and we can look at some of those as examples tomorrow. I think that would be a really good idea. Thank you for those contributions. Okay, talk to you all tomorrow.